So I actually teach for a virtual school, and so my students are in neuro, and I am screen sharing.
Okay.
So you'll probably just see me, but
Gotcha. So everybody's in the classroom already.
yes.
Okay, cool. Well, I introduce myself. First, I want to say thank you for you guys giving me the opportunity to speak with you guys in regards to entrepreneurship and going down the road. We're going down the road of being an entrepreneur. My name is Deonte Burden. I'm an accountant by profession. I've been an entrepreneur probably for the past, I would say maybe 25 years. I own an accounting firm, Majestic Business Services. We've been in business 22 years. But over those years, I've started, sold, lost, bought, anything you name, different businesses from. I've had studios, I've had a cleaning business, had a resume company, landscaping business, janitorial business. I mentioned that earlier. Rental properties, different things that I've done. And I've learned a lot over the years. My main business, the anchor, is the accounting firm we're doing it. And some of the business we've started, we was able to start and close on our own. Some we lost, some we sold. So I want to have a discussion with you guys today in regards to entrepreneurship. I got one quick question. Is anybody going to be able to ask? Is just going to be me talking, or will the floor be open for anyone to ask questions later on?
It'll probably be you talking, and then I can always ask them at the end if they have any questions, if that
Okay.
works.
All right. Cool. Fair enough. Just want to ask that. Okay. Just a little bit about me. Again, my name is Deonte Burden. My main business is Majestic Business Services, and that's a accounting firm. We're pretty much a one-stop shop for small businesses. We do bookkeeping, tax prep, payroll, and consulting. Again, it's our 22nd year in business. With that said, my educational background, I have a BBA in finance from Georgia State University and a master in supply chain management from Clayton State University. Some of my past experiences that I've had, I told some of the business I've started, but just from a professional standpoint, I've been a budget and finance chairman for USA Track and Field. I've been the treasurer for an organization called I Dare You, which is an athletic training program. We started that program where we were training young men for football from 5 kids in the park to a matter of 4 years. ESPN had us ranked the number two training program in the whole Southeast region behind IMG Academy in Florida, where we went from zero to $400,000 that we were all working part time making in a matter of 3 years with doing that. Also, I've been the past treasurer for 100 Black Men South Metro here in Atlanta. So I have a vast background in finance and accounting. That's most of my niche being, but I've done, like I said, mentioned before, from the hair salons to cleaning companies. I've had a lot of different businesses, during that time, and I wanted to just talk with you guys in regards to entrepreneurship. Oh, before I go any further, it's for you guys, any one of you, and I'll share the screen later in regards to my YouTube channel. I have a YouTube channel, Mr. Short Dollar, that we've had about 5 years, where we talk about entrepreneurship, investing, and finance. Again, that's Mr. Short Dollar. That I put in there. Let me see if I can put in the chat the actual YouTube. But I'll do that before we leave. But definitely, guys, make sure you go to the YouTube channel, Mr. Short Dollar, and subscribe. We have over 800 videos on the YouTube channel. We have I think that YouTube channel, maybe 27,000 subscribers on there. But we put out a lot of great information covering entrepreneurship, investing, business operations, and business management. What I want to talk with you guys today in regards to entrepreneur, I got a couple questions that were given to me in regards to talking about it. And if you have any questions at the end, feel free to share what your teacher in regards to that. Because I run my mouth for about 20 minutes just to tell you about different things where I perceive being an entrepreneur. But then at the end, I open the floor for you guys up with any question that you may have. One of the first things we want to talk about: what does an entrepreneur really do? Entrepreneur, in essence, is just somebody who owns a business, right? But I always looked at it being three different levels of entrepreneurship. Okay, and that first level is just kind of like you're dabbling with it, and that being you already have an anchor, you have a job, you have your regular 9 to 5 that you secure with, and you say, hey, I want to go out there and just do a little side gig. I want to maybe sell some cookies. I want to print some T-shirts. I want to get out there. I got a skill set or something that I like doing. And this is probably what the vast majority of entrepreneurs are. Like they have that safety net, the regular job with everything, but they want to just dabble out and make some extra income with something. And with that said, they'll put so much in, and I want to give this precursor. There's nothing wrong with either level, with any of the three, but it's just taking acknowledgement, just to be able to recognize which is which. But that first one is what most people fall in. But you may just say, I want to just do these particular things and just get out there being a consultant, maybe a tutor, go out there and cut some lawns, different things with that. Most people fall into that. You have an opportunity to do well as far as making money. You get the freedom of learning, and also get the opportunity to learn how to be an entrepreneur. But you still have that safety net behind you being the job. You have to be realistic when you're in that part. You're doing it more than likely on a part-time basis. So usually, sometimes you have to look at it, the amount of time you put into it. That's probably how correlate with the actual results that come with that. Okay. The second one is where we go a little more into it, and that's where you add a little bit more risk. And that's where people, if they actually have got to be, and they start taking on risk with that. That means maybe get a lease. You actually still have your job, but you may say, hey, look, we're selling T-shirts, but I want to get a spot at the mall where you've signed a lease where you're paying that each month for doing that. You're not still, have, if things go, left, and then, you have to close or whatever, you still have the security of the job, but you put a little bit more time into it, put a little more risk into it as well. You may go out there and buy some equipment, like I said, with the T-shirts. If you're starting off being a T-shirt entrepreneur, I know a lot of young people do that. I'm also the father of 4 sons, so I've seen my boys do different things over the years. Instead of just maybe using a print-on-demand company, you may actually go spend some money and buy some equipment yourself. If you're actually doing some landscaping, you might, take your money and go buy some equipment to do the landscaping. That's that second level where the anchor is still there, but you're taking more risk to actually spend some of your money, because if it doesn't work out, you're kind of stuck with that. But that's the second level. And you probably have, I would say, maybe 80% or on that level one, and maybe I would say 10%, I'm sorry, is at that level two. Most people, will stay in that safety zone with doing it, and not that many will go out there and just, start spending money on a part-time basis with doing it. But that's that level two with doing it. You put a little bit more out there with doing it. The third one is what I call, level three, which is pretty much you're 100% self-employed, working with yourself. We're doing it. It is probably the most challenging with doing it. I think a lot of times people look at it and say, "Hey, it looks exciting, looks fun," but you have to be built a certain kind of way to want to just be doing things 100% by yourself. You have no security. You have to be set up a certain way, and I'll go into depth about that in a little bit. But I think one of the main things you guys need to think about when you start going down the road of entrepreneurship is make a personal assessment with your sales, right? You got to make a personal assessment with your sales. That being knowing how you are. Are you risk tolerant? And what I mean by risk tolerant, are you afraid to take, risks and do things that people don't normally do? How much, from a knowledge perspective, do you have about this particular business or industry that you want to get into? Just because you eat at a restaurant doesn't mean you know how to run a restaurant. Um, how much money you have, how much capital you have, being, the money you can spend, the people that you have available to help you, those kind of things. Liability wise, the time frame that you have available to be able to do it. You guys are in high school, do you have tests and other obligations that will keep you from doing it? Just being realistic, right? Those kind of things you need to be taken into consideration when we start thinking about, not to stop you from being an entrepreneur, but just assessing what level you can go into. And just like anything, as time goes by and your life changes and you evolve, you'll have different, your all that stuff will change as far as your availability, your money, and your experience and things like that. But that's how I kind of picture, the different levels of entrepreneurship. Most of the items that I'm talking about, I got videos this on the YouTube channel where I go a little bit more, well, a lot more in depth about these particular subject matters. But I just want to kind of, give you guys a gist of how I look at as far as entrepreneurship. Um, when I start looking at just, take myself for example, what my particular day looks like. I'm also former military, so I'm very structured and very disciplined. And that's one of the key components of being an entrepreneur. You have to be very disciplined. I can't stress that you guys enough, right? And pretty much, the way I live my life is pretty much the same thing. It's been the same way for the past 30 years, right? Get up in the morning, I go do my workout, do my routine with that, get my breakfast. I already have my schedule laid out from the previous day. What I want to share with you guys, these are my schedules for the past couple weeks, right? These are my schedule for the past couple weeks, and this is for the beginning of this week. And what I do on a yearly basis, I'll write down starting like October, November. I was writing down my goals for 2024. And then what I do is just map everything out for my 2024 goals. And then from that point, I'll assess where those goals need to fall in line in regards to the year. So two things when you set goals, guys. I want you just always remember this: goals have to be two things. They have to be attainable and they have to be incremental. And what I say by attainable, you got to be realistic. You just can't say I want to be a millionaire by the end of the year. It can happen, but when we start looking at numbers wise, how we have to do it, you'll find it very challenging to just throw an arbitrary number out there. And that's why. And then the other thing was saying incremental, you can build up to it. So let me give you guys an example. If you say I want to make $12,000 a year, right? We know $12,000 a year. An easy way to map it out, you want to say, look, I want to make $1,000 a month. If we want to make $1,000 a month, we can break that out between each week. We want to make $250 a week. And then you can break it down further if you want to go how much you want to make each day. But you've made it incremental and you made it attainable, right? You didn't just throw an arbitrary number out. When you become an entrepreneur, you have to be disciplined like that to be able to have the foresight to break things down. When you're working at your job, you know when you work, what you put out with that, and you can expect your wage if you're on a salary, if you're working by an hour. It doesn't work like that as an entrepreneur. The things I do today, and once I build a client, they may not pay me back till January or February when that's done. The key thing is I can call them and do it, but you just don't know. You just have to be able to strategize, what's a good client with doing this, who's going to be on top of certain things, but it doesn't come the same way if you're working every day. You're going to get a check. So you got to keep that in mind with a discipline standpoint. But again, you're looking at Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all these things. This is how my weekly schedule is. And what I do when I get up in the morning, I review my schedule to see how things are. I look at my emails. I look at the task I have. One key thing you have to understand being an entrepreneur, and it's the same thing being a regular professional as well, you got to be able to pivot and adjust, because it's natural for me to get a phone call in the middle of the day. I got my day planned out, and I get a phone call, throw everything off, and I have to hop on something else. So you have to be able to adjust. And that's just being a regular professional, period. No matter what path you go down. One of the main differences is as being an entrepreneur, if you get sidetracked or get sick, typically at your job, somebody else can come in and pick it up if you can't be able to do it. When you're an entrepreneur, it's still there. So just something to keep in mind, okay? After I get through the day and I can look at the list, I try to make sure I have my priority, things that are high priority with getting done. Looking at it in regards to the priority level and the actual how time intensive it is. Some things may be high priority, but I have to be fully engaged with it. Some things may be high priority, but I just need it maybe just be a phone call that I can be on the phone with them 30 seconds. All this stuff has to be assessed. And then from that point, the things that I couldn't complete, I roll it over to the next day. That's why when I get up in the morning, I have to look at it and assess it. Some things that I had scheduled for the day, I may have to say, listen, it's Friday, I can't get to it, let me roll it over to Monday or Tuesday, right? But those are the kind of things you got to be on top of when you're an entrepreneur. You may have an assistant or something like that to help you with it, and if you have that, that's great. Depending on where you start and what level you're at, you may not be privy to those particular things. And then some things you may just want to look at yourself, okay? So a typical day with that, it can vary from task to task, depending on me being an accountant. If we're in tax season, I'm dealing with a bookkeeping client, things like that. Or just have to go deal with my other businesses. I still have real estate properties. On Tuesday, I was out dealing with vendors and different contractors. We'll make sure some properties were straight with doing that. The YouTube channel, we've had that 6-7 years. I have to make sure certain videos are on top and edited. If you guys think about it and listen to what I'm saying, I'm all over the place. I have to be super structured and disciplined to make sure everything's happening, because I'm not busy. I'm successful. So I'm not just busy doing a lot of stuff. This is my income. So I can't, I'm not a big proponent, unless you like doing it for fun, which nothing's wrong with that, but I'm not a big proponent of just being in business to say I'm in business, right? This is If I don't do this, I don't eat. If I don't do this, I can't pay my mortgage and my bills. So I just want it to be kind of sticking with you guys. And it's not to deter you from being an entrepreneur, but I want to be realistic with you guys with the commitment and how serious and how disciplined you have to be if you want to become an entrepreneur. Okay. Because I think far too often we can go on social media and look up videos and everybody's like, yeah, get your LLC, get your business, get your tax ID number, and you sell this stuff and it's great. And that's a fun perception, but it's not a realistic perception on it, okay? Because if you want to go down this pathway of doing it, it is very challenging, it is very hard, but it's also empowering and fun as well, okay? Because, I always tell people all the time, I work 20 hours a day, so I don't have to work 40 hours a week. And when you start looking at the logic of that and stuff, I enjoy the freedom of being an entrepreneur. I like if I'm doing a certain thing and I can go somewhere and smoke some cigars, or go hang out with my buddies and stuff like that, do things. My kids are, three of my sons are grown now, just have only one teenager left. But for the most part, I coached all my kids in sports and everything like that. I had a lot of flexibility with doing that, but I made a lot of sacrifice on the back end, maybe losing sleep, doing other things to make those particular things happen. That's where entrepreneurship comes into place with doing it. But if you are okay with having that kind of commitment, you'll be fine. Um, I went to that when I started looking at my career path and with everything. I did 20 years in corporate America, so I was at level two for the longest. I had that anchor, but I also when I had the salons and I had the janitorial contract and I had all these, I had thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars from a liability standpoint locked in with leases. I had a studio. I had the rental properties. Some of these things I stay. I don't have the studio anymore or the salon, but I'm just thinking about it. At one time, I had seven businesses where I had and a job, a very nice job working downtown Atlanta, nice office and everything, and all these things were locked in. So at any point in time, I may have had a job that paid me great wages, but I had a lot of risks out there in regards to different contracts and leases and things like that that I had. I had a lease on the salon. I had a lease. At one point I had four tax offices. I've reduced that down to one now because I'm older now. I don't really chase money like I used to. But I look back at it at level two. I was at that for a while. So I had 20 years of experience working in corporate America, working in accounting and finance. Um, when I would say the past 6 years, I've been 100% self-employed. Just kind of want to step out there and do my own thing with doing that, and it's been very fun. Initially, it was and I would tell people this: you have to make sure when you're looking at from an entrepreneur standpoint, as I mentioned earlier, you have to love doing what you're doing because there was a big shift in income when I went 100%. Because again, I had to reassess everything and know that it was fully me, and it was cool to have that good anchor being the job and everything. And once I was able, maybe 2 years into being 100%, then I was able to get my numbers back and more than my particular job. But you got to be realistic about that. So I just want to tell you that when you want to start your own business up, you have to be prepared to not make any money, to maybe roll at a loss or whatever while you actually be trying to build everything up. It's very challenging. That's why you don't have too many people that are true. When I say true entrepreneurs, I mean 100% self-employed with doing that. You got to be realistic, just understanding how the steps it takes to actually get a business started and be able to grow it and put enough time, money, and the right people in place to make a business be able to work and thrive. You guys may not have experienced it, but just going out with your parents sometimes, even yourself, just going out, you may go to different restaurants. You got long wait times. You may have heard about the nationwide labor shortage. When you come on this side of it, you have people. You're the employer. You have people working for you, and you want. It's very that's a science all to itself to find people that will engage and appreciate your business the way you do. Because if you look at it, just think about it. If you're selling your t-shirts or you got your lemonade stand, and I don't mean to be condescending, I'm just trying to think, teenage businesses, so y'all forgive me. But if you got one of your buddies that's working for you, be your best friend, and he's rude to a customer, and that customer is your best customer, paying you all the time, you've lost it. And only you lose it, they actually referred you to other people. Now the other people got rid of you because of your friend being that, gatekeeper with doing that. That happens all the time in business. People have a nice restaurant or something set up. They have somebody working in there and they rub people the wrong way. It can be catastrophic because one of the biggest things with businesses now, as opposed to when I first started over 20 some years ago, you have something called, Google reviews, Yelp, things like that. That wasn't there then. So people wouldn't pick up their phone and just check for reviews and stuff like that. There wasn't social media where people can get on and make a video. And the video, a viral video talking bad about a business will get more traction than any video than that's talking, hey, this business was great, the people were nice and things like that. Because people like controversy, right? So when you go down that pathway, you have to understand, be very, very careful about who you put into your business because the natural thought process is, I'm getting my business to I'm getting my business up and running. Let me get some of my buddies and friends because they love you and they do care about you, but they're probably not the best people to have in that business, if that makes sense. You have to be very, very careful of that. They love you, they care about you, and they want you to exceed, but they're not the best because they may not handle a bad customer or a bad day or a bad experience the way you would because you care about your business. Be very, very mindful of that. A lot of people um, get caught up in that being new entrepreneurs. So I just want to share that with you. From an educational standpoint, I know you got the students. I'm very pro college. Like I say, I have an undergrad and a master's. I know a lot of times people will tell you that a lot of times you don't necessarily need your education to get in business. I will tell you this, and I'm just making this as easy as possible. You're either gonna pay for an education, on either you paying for yours where you sit down in the classroom, you're in college, you're getting educated, or you're gonna pay for the education somebody else attained, i.e. your lawyer, i.e. The trainer. Even if you're doing construction, you're getting you got contractors coming through. One thing I don't think people understand is that when you have plumbers, carpenters, different people, they have to go through certifications also, and they have to know how to read blueprints. They have to know basic skills, being math, things like that. All that stuff still have to come to play. So it's not like you can avoid certain things, right? So regardless, you're going to pay for an education. It may not be yours directly, but you're going to pay for somebody's. I'm just letting you guys know that. And the more you can empower yourself with things on the pathway you want to take endeavors of, the better off you'll be. My undergrad being in finance was very, very important because I'm a numbers person. I'm real big on math. If you think about it, let me explain what a finance degree is. If you look at accounting and finance are on the same path. Accounting is the beginning, finance is the end. So we state that accounting is everything from past to present. Finance is everything from present to future. So in finance, mostly use math with forecasting, we're projecting, doing that. It's a lot more. It's an advanced business degree, so a lot of more math based than anything. The same thing with supply chain management. That's what my master's in. Same what we deal with more of the calculations in regards to logistics and things like that. When you think about, I know you guys probably order from Amazon or eBay and things like that. That is a science that goes into how fast they can get those products and shipments to you, right? When you go into a quick lube or jiffy lube, that is a science how a person can come into a place and get that oil change in 5 to 10 minutes. That's a mathematical equation. It's a mathematical equation. If let's put it like this: most of your chain restaurants, your Red Lobsters, maybe Roof Chris. Where you guys based out of? I'm sorry.
We're in
In
California, so a
California.
little bit all over.
Okay. But then you look at some of your chain restaurants as opposed to some of your mom and pops. If you ever notice how fast from hey, how you doing? Sit you down. Somebody come to your table, order comes, things like that. All that stuff from a corporate level, they've already calculated that kind of stuff. So when they come down to those franchises, that's what they try to instill in everybody from a time perspective, how long it takes for the food to get cooked. Whereas you go to a mom and pop, it still has structure, but unless they came from probably one of those industries, it's not the same thing. They may not necessarily have the same pace in delivering. And that's what supply chain is based on, from, things getting done, effectiveness, efficiencies, a lot of math go into it. So I say all that to say that a lot of times when you want to go down the road of entrepreneurship, what I would recommend the least bit of education to get maybe associates in business. That way you can get at least accounting 101, business 101. Everyone that goes into business needs some kind of education in operational management. And that, what I mean by operational, is what we talked about earlier, being able to know how to hire people, different levels of how to run a business and things like that, set up structures and things. Far too often people become entrepreneurs that want to go down the road of entrepreneurship because they have a skill set. They're good at making certain items. They're good at doing providing certain services, but they don't know the back office side, the entrepreneurship. I mean the advertising, management, finance, marketing. They don't know that side, so they really just don't really put a lot of emphasis on it. But understanding those particular things are the actual lifeblood of a business, and because those things aren't nurtured enough, or no attention is paid put to it. That's why you see so many businesses fail, right? Most businesses fail. I forgot the exact number. Y'all forgive me. I say maybe like 90 some percent of businesses fail. And I forgot over the tenure time. And depending on what level you want to do. And we're talking about if you're fully engaged and if you're just part time and with it. Like I said, again, nothing wrong with that. But when you want to go, hey, full throttle, we're doing it, because there were a lot of businesses um, during the people that started businesses during the pandemic. A lot of time, because different ways the government was getting assistance. People got if you had a current business that you may have been moonlighting with, people getting funding and things like that. It was a lot more accessible to get help, and a lot of, I think, in my opinion, people didn't take the proper steps to actually make their business to be thriving or sustainable, and it kind of bit a lot of people in the butt. And I'm a big proponent in taking those painful steps, taking the time to get everything structured, so you can last in business with doing that. My biggest advice to any one of you guys that want to go down the career of entrepreneurship, number one, there's a couple traits you got to have. Like I said before, and again, the most important to me is just discipline. You got to be disciplined. You got to be disciplined. You got to be focused on doing the same things over and over and over again. Again, you don't have to be so repetitive where you don't try to do different things, but you have to be structured to understand this is the pathway, for me to be able to do things. Okay. The second is you got to be strategic. You got to be able to plan and understand that things are going to happen. It's not if something happens, it's when something happens. How you're going to be able to pivot and adjust to different things that may happen to you. Okay. Another one, you had to be able to take some risks. I don't know if you guys understand. There's a difference between taking chances and taking risks. Taking the chances means you just blindly go into something, which is extremely dangerous. When you take risks, that means you've done some kind of research to actually, number one, take notice of the different things that are the different bad things that can happen to your business, but also take steps to, just in case if this happens, this is what we can do. This is what we can do. Having a contingent plan, which is just another plan, just in case things don't work out the way you had initially, mapped out. That being a plan B, plan C, plan D, plan E. Things will happen. You have to be able to pivot and adjust when that happens. Okay, you can't just sit there and just nobody cares. Nobody cares things didn't work out. Nobody cares that that you put in all this money to for your social media campaign and it got no traction. What are you gonna do next? No one cares about it. So you have to be able. I've made all these posts. None of my friends or family is buying from me. What are you gonna do next? Okay, so you got to be able to pivot and adjust. And those are key skills. I think everyone that I had another note. Be analytical. Be analytical. You have to be able to look at things several different ways. Don't be so you know tunnel vision with the way you want to go about things. Understand that this may be a new way. Listen to people. Have the right people around you when they give you ideas, not just to tell you, hey man, try this, try that, and ask the question why. And if they can't provide a why or a how, I wouldn't necessarily move with that. But if somebody kick an idea to you and they can explain to you why and how, I would take consideration to it. You may not do it, but at least it's just getting different kind of insight. Be very, very careful when people can give you ideas and they can't explain to you a why or a how. Okay, be very careful of that, because as an entrepreneur, you will be at no shortage of receiving ideas or opinions, but it'd be very, very difficult to get the actual pathway or map out how to do certain things. Just be very mindful of that. Um, you want to gain experience at every level of the particular business that you're doing. You want to gain experience. I would recommend anybody that wants to get in food services, that want to become, from a service standpoint, cleaning, cutting, building, whatever, volunteer, work in a shop for a certain amount of time, whatever. Learn it from the service standpoint, the managing standpoint, the advertising, operating, whatever business. Try to get some kind of experience with it, um, and especially with the uncomfortable stuff. Don't be in a rush. When you're young, what I've seen with people, when you're young, you feel like some things are going to take too long to try to make it happen, and then when you get older, you think like you don't have enough time. Either way, you still have to spend some kind of time with it, right? So don't rush things. When you rush things, you miss out on so much, and it's difficult to recover when you rush things and they don't work. But if you take your time, everything will be okay, right? That's just it's not as long as you think it would be, okay? All right. That's why I say again, it's nothing wrong with taking the risk, but you got to be able to analyze certain things that can and can't happen, and just be prepared for that. Find good mentors. Find people that can actually give you good insight, not just people that are older or that you trust. Your family and friends, they love you and care about you, but all of them can't. They can tell you something is good, but they can't again tell you the why and the hows. Find people that can tell you the why and the hows. Find people that have shared struggles as you, where you guys can kind of maybe be able to throw different ideas. Not to sit and have a pity party with each other, but you be amazed sometimes when you sit down and talk with other people, what kind of insight they can give you on certain things. Uh, Network with very honest people that can be that can really tell you exactly what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, from an uncomfortable standpoint. Far too often, when people give us constructive criticism, people can look at it like, "Why are you talking bad? Why are you being negative?" But they're really just being honest, and it's going to be challenging for you as an entrepreneur if you can't take constructive criticism. Me being former military, it's one of the things that in the military, no matter what branch, people are brutally honest with you, right? And so you find yourself in a situation where you may have some cuss words here and there, but they're being honest. Nothing personal. Like, okay, cool. Well, let me look at it. And most of the time, those people, they will be honest with you, but they also be offering you a solution right then and there also. But never, you got to have some degree of thick skin. And what I mean by that, you have to be able to not get so emotional or upset when things don't go your way or you hear things you don't necessarily like. Okay, and I think if you guys can practice those particular things, I think you'll be you'll be okay. Going down the road of entrepreneurship. I think that's probably enough for me just running my mouth. I want to open the floor if anybody got any questions in regards to entrepreneurship. Feel free to chime in and let me know.
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions? You can type in our chat and I can ask.
Let me see.
So, okay, James has asked, how do you find the right people to hire?
How do you find the right people to hire? Um, that's a great question, James. And what my thought process is, and I did a video on this a couple of weeks ago in regards to the labor shortage. What I always say to people is work backwards from the goal. And what I say work backwards from the goal, James, is James, what particular business you have. Can James put in the chat what kind of business does he have a business aspiration with that? But if you can put that in the chat, please. So let me see if I have access to the chat.
Oh no, they're in my new
Okay,
row.
okay, okay,
But
got you.
James, is it any particular business, James, or just kind of in general? He said any business.
Any business. Okay, fair enough. What you do, you work backwards from the goal. Like whatever business that you have, the type of person that would probably want to work in that particular business, right? So I'm gonna use a couple of my businesses for example. When I had the hair salon, the hair salon I had was not. It was more a contemporary hair salon where most of the stylists were older women. They were mostly older, let's say 45, 40 years old, 35 years old. They particularly over 10 years in the industry. They had established clientele. They didn't want the bells and whistles, the music and everything. They just want everything to be functioning, clean, secure. Who wants to work in there. If you have, depending on what business you have, the actual, for the customer you're trying to get, you have to, and that's the thing about it, James. You have to, when we get in business, we have to niche things down to know who we're trying to sell to. When you're trying to sell to everybody, It's just like you got a bow and an arrow and you're trying to just find a target, but you're shooting in the whole forest. You have to niche it down. Am I trying to deal with young people, older people? Am I trying to deal with people that are actually in a certain culture? Do I want people that are conservative? They are strictly business. Those kind of things is, those things have to be taken in consideration. Is it a certain income level that I want to reach? Then from that point, who will these people be comfortable with interacting with, right? And it doesn't necessarily even have to be from an interaction with person to person. Who will be comfortable with working in my particular kind of business, right? And then you have to find those people, right? So if you're sitting there saying that I just need a person to be able to answer my phones, who's okay with doing that? And I got to sit here and be honest with myself. Is my sister? Is my brother? I know my mother loves me, but my mother's not a people person. Do I really want my mom answering the phones? Those kind of things. So you have to, again, work backwards from the goal. You know who you're going to service, who can interact with them, or the particular business you have, and you say, okay, they're comfortable with it. The key thing with that is you need to spend as much time finding those people as you do with trying to get ready to start that business. Because again, James, if you have the wrong person in place, you'll be back at square one before you know it. So do not discredit having the right people working for you. Like I said again, work backwards from the goal. The goal being, the particular business you have or the particular customer you're servicing, who would feel comfortable. Who would be a good fit for dealing with that business or dealing with those particular people. I hope I answered your question with that.
Awesome, thank you. I know we're just about out of time, but does anyone have any last minute questions before we head out?
If you don't mind, can I share my YouTube channel?
Oh my God, please, yeah, and I'll show it in class.
Okay, that's my YouTube channel, Mr. Short Dollar, and if you
Oh, cool.
Google,
You put it in the Zoom chat, and then I can share it out to the students.
cool, I definitely do that. And in 1 second, we're doing that. And that's the link for it. But guys, feel free. We got over 800 videos on the YouTube channel for you guys to take advantage of. And I am super excited. Anytime I hear about anybody, especially young people that want to go down the road of entrepreneurship, just having conversations and talking with you about it, because my whole life, I've always had dibble and dabble entrepreneurship and then get serious with it till about 20-some years ago. But I always get excited about it because I didn't have a lot of mentors and people. Definitely didn't have something called YouTube to go back and reference and get information on. So I always get super excited. But I'm always honest with people in regards to the actual commitment and the struggle that it takes to be a successful entrepreneur. And when I say the key word successful, I don't want to get it so tied up into money and status and things like that. You decide what level you want to go on, right? But again, you have to be realistic as far as the commitment that you put in, what the output can come out. It's just like being a student, right? Same thing, same concept. You can be moonlight with it, you're going to get moonlight results. So you do have some exceptions to the rule where you're lucky. You can just walk in and take a test and ace it. Yeah, but that's not the vast majority of people, right? A lot of times, it's a correlation with the actual amount of commitment and sacrifice you can put into the classroom, what success you have. It'll be the same thing when you go go down any career path, or even want to go down the road of entrepreneurship. And entrepreneurship is probably a little bit more tougher because it's you and only you, right? So definitely, guys, feel free to go to the YouTube channel. All my contact information is in our description section of all my videos. So in the future, if you guys got any questions or anything like that, I offer, we do consulting, but I offer free 10-minute consultations. So you'll see the links for the consultations in there. So if you have any questions, feel free to book one of those free 10-minute sessions and stuff. We can get a lot accomplished in 10 minutes, guys. But definitely, man, I want to tell you guys from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate the opportunity, and best of luck with you guys.
Thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to our class. We appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys. You take care and be safe and have a happy holiday.
All right, you too.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye.